Welcome, everybody, to this week's Daryl and Boo's weekly update. Welcome, Daryl. How was your weekend?
Weekend was nice. We had a bit of torrential rain here, but we still were out for the majority of the weekend. Visited with some friends who live on the North Shore on Friday night. Went out for dinner with them and had a bit of a catch up. And Saturday, kind of the same. On the afternoon, we were just kind of running around, getting things done. And then Saturday afternoon, we went back over to the North Shore. As usual, we kind of popped into a couple of local breweries, ones that a couple that I hadn't tried out before, which was good. Really kind of turning into a good brewery scene over on the North Shore also. I mean, that started quite a while ago, but there's new ones popping up all the time.
Like Deep Cove or in Lonsdale?
This was more towards Lonsdale. So there's that little strip along Esplanade before you actually get to the Lonsdale corridor coming from the Second Narrows. There's one called Beer, and Beer with an E on the end. That's been around for a little while. Another one called House of Funk right beside it. But there's a new one opening up, looks like imminently, right beside it, called Shakedown. And we tried there's a little taco place, a little brewery / taqueria place on that same little strip, who have an interesting concept. So obviously really busy. You know, they've got a little bit of patio room, and there's a bit of a lineup like a lot of places are seeing these days. So they've got a wine room upstairs, and they make their own wine, but they import their grapes from various different vineyards in BC. So there's a few places doing that, and I kind of suspected, okay, it's just going to taste a little bit like homebrew type of thing, but it was actually really good and a great little concept. I mean, keeping everything local, you don't have to be actually at the winery itself to kind of enjoy some wines from that region. So we did a little tasting there and then popped up to a local restaurant. So Saturday was a lot of fun. Catching up with some friends again we hadn't seen in a little while, and I expect we'll be doing more of that in the coming months as vaccines continue to roll out here. But how about you? How was your home renos? And it looks like you're doing some painting, or so got some potential painting in the background there.
There will be some painting. So we've got two colors up here. I was trying to decide between the two, and so I got some paint samples. I have like 8 paint samples, and then I put two on the wall once I got home and bought all these different samples. And then of these two, I am not even going with one of those for the paint. So the one I will go with is just a shade. I don't know if you can really pick that up there. It's just a shade darker than that one there.
Is that gray? I don't know. I can't even tell.
It is gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just kind of gonna go for a bit of a monotone or monochrome type of look in here. My desk is, you can't see it, but my desk is white. There is kind of a fireplace mantle here that's white. And then there's a setback kind of area where you can put in a TV or shelves or something like that. And that's painted the wall color right now. And that'll be painted a bit of an off-white. And then the hope is that I can actually turn things around a little bit and have a little bit more stuff going on in the background rather than just the wall.
As opposed to the blank wall that people get to enjoy with mine. So that's
I'm gonna have to. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'll send you the cloud light. I got to take the cloud light down anyways.
Yeah.
And just patch up the little hooks that are up there to move it, and then you can take over the cloud if you like.
I had a very cool piece of art all picked out and purchased and everything, and then ran into some shipping logistics. So that got kind of put on hold. So I'm either going to reorder that when I can get down to across the US and pick up the art myself, or maybe just go with something. I was looking at some options again. Some friends that we were with just purchased a place up in Whistler. They are looking for art and kind of stumbled upon this artist from Squamish that does some really cool stuff. So that now is some options that I'm looking at, but eventually I'll have something behind me rather than just a blank gray wall. But
nice. Yeah, on Sunday went up to Whistler.
Yeah.
And then so went mountain biking there. Okay weather. Just a little bit of a drizzle, but what was fun, and I forgot to get this all lined up properly, but this should work out okay. Did see a bear.
Oh wow!
So, second trip up to Whistler so far for this bike season, and have already seen a bear. This bear was roaming around for a little bit here, and there it is right over there. So we got as close as about 50 feet to it. Just kind of rode by. He was just kind of munching along over there, but saw him several times from the chairlift, and nobody had gone and scared him away or anything.
Yeah, from what I hear, there's just so many of them this year, and a lot of them have just become known to the locals. They actually know them individually, who they are, and they're just almost have become super docile. So, which gets a little bit scary, because just when you think they're as tame as a dog or something like that, they can surprise you. But yeah, interesting. Cool.
Yeah. It was pretty neat to see. It was, I think there was two of them, because I think they have tags that identify them. And so Zach, my oldest, was with me, and he could see the first one that we saw had a couple tags on it. And he said this one didn't have any tags on it. So he thinks it was two different bears.
Cool.
But yeah, interesting to see. But without further ado, we should bring on our guest here.
Yeah.
And I will say this guest is so far the hardest guest to book. I have tried about every couple weeks. I look at his calendar and I've tried to figure out which Monday morning can I get this guy. And it has only ever worked out once. And that one time was when he was actually off and mistakenly booked him. So we'll bring him on. Jason Lang, welcome back to the show. It has been over 1 year since you've been on, but we finally got you.
It's like trying to book some sort of rock singer or something like that.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, I'm celebrating over 270 days of lockdown. I think the longest in the world or something. It's supposed to open up next Monday, but we'll see.
You have a great lockdown haircut, by the way.
Yeah, sure. My wife's been gotten pretty good at it. It needs a trim, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. We hear about people flying into BC to get haircuts, but you've managed to do that without.
Yeah. So for people who don't recall, Jason is from our Shape team. So he's based in Toronto, but he's one of the solution engineers on the Shape side of the house, and has done quite a number of meetings with our customers and discussions with our customers over the past year. But your lockdown in Toronto has been long and arduous from what we can gather out here.
Yeah. I'm really jealous of you guys out there. I know you guys talked to Ryan a little bit. It's my partner in crime, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just sitting at a patio having lunch." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I don't even know what that is. I can't even do that outside." So maybe soon.
Yeah, trending in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. So you and Ryan have been super busy on stuff and working on a number of different just big projects. What can you tell us a little bit about the kind of stuff that you're seeing or kind of projects that you're working on?
Yeah, certainly. Lately, we've been pivoting a lot to the human fraud side. We have a number of exciting proof of concepts undergo here in Canada with some very large brands, and we're having some very exciting early results when they're putting us up against some of the more established fraud vendors. And we're able to pull some pretty impressive numbers that in many cases are garnering additional time and interest from the prospects. So that's great. It's really great news to see. It means it's real. There's something there, and we're doing something different that the industry so far hasn't been able to really deliver on in many cases.
And for those who don't recall, obviously Shape was brought into the F5 portfolio about a year and a half ago, I guess, maybe a little bit more. And the solution, Jason can certainly speak to it in a lot more detail and more eloquently than I can, but kind of started off many years ago as really kind of solving the automated bot problem, and it's still very core to what the Shape solution does. But once that piece has been solved, and the bots are no longer an issue for a customer, there's still the element of human fraud, which the Shape solution, I think, takes a different approach to, I guess, fair to say, Jason, than a lot of other solutions out there. And that's probably why you're seeing some of the great results you're getting in your POCs right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the traditional fraud vendors, in many cases, they call out the fact that automation can be very present, even in a fraud perspective, and yet don't really go to any great length to address how they are solving that to the tune where maybe they aren't, because in many cases, their business model is predicated on per transaction fees. So if you eliminate 90% of the noise, you don't make as much money.
Yeah.
So that's the way it works. So we take a different approach. Also, something new developments as well. There's going to be some additional new bot capabilities coming out through F5 with the Shape partnership called Integrated Bot Defense.
Okay.
So that's basically an IAP template that you can deploy on your F5 Big IP and deploy it very seamlessly, very easily onto any web property. And it makes an API call. So we're not routing traffic away anymore. It's just a simple API call, and you get the Shape intelligence and technology behind the scenes that simply makes a bot or not decision for you deterministically, and then you can choose how you want to deal with that on the Big IP. It's really exciting. Price point will reflect the fact that it's kind of a plug and play, easy to adopt option. So now we have three things. We have our boutique, custom, white glove Shape Enterprise Defense premium product. We have Silverline Shape Defense, and now we're going to have this integrated bot defense. So it's really exciting times coming up.
Yeah, and I think it's that's great. Obviously, Buu and myself kind of support our customers here in BC, and no secret that a lot of these customers still have bot issues, still have fraud issues, but aren't large enterprises that can afford sometimes the more expensive solutions. And Shape is not the enterprise defense is a market leader and is kind of priced that way. So it's good that we're kind of coming up with solutions that could really sort of work well for our customers here in BC.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Any sense of when? I'm not looking for specific dates or anything like that, but have you got a sense of when that will be?
I think it's imminent.
Okay.
For the folks I've been talking to internally, Joe Martin being the primary driver of that.
Right.
It should be available soon, very soon, and it's being baked into Big IP version 17.
Excellent. Okay, good to hear.
Very
Natively
cool.
supported. Yeah, it'll be really exciting.
Yeah. I know myself and Daryl have seen a number of different ways now that folks can start to get a look at the value that Shape can bring without having to go through a full proof of concept. So ways that we can get logs off to something, or ways that we can integrate some analysis into the Big IP itself. And so anybody that wants to check out whether or not there's quantifiable value in a solution like this, we can get something stood up pretty quickly, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, good point.
There's a bit more work before in order to do some of that. And I'll also throw a plug out here. We've got a webinar coming up next week, and this is, maybe I'll call this like an unwebinar. We're trying not to just sit there in front of a bunch of slides and then just run people through it, but actually deliver value through a conversation, kind of a panel discussion here. Myself, one of Jason's colleagues, Shazad, and Kyle McKay as well, one of my colleagues out of Calgary, are going to be doing this. So we're going to talk about, we will talk about Shape, but we're also going to talk about just kind of an expanded discussion on everybody who's previously an owner of F5 Application Security Manager, ASM, gets a free upgrade into Advanced Web Application Firewall as we kind of consolidated those two products and SKUs. And so this webinar is primarily going to focus on, hey, what does this mean? What do you get out of it? What do you need to do in order to take advantage of the features? And then some of that conversation kind of heads into bots anyways, because there's some bot mitigation as part of advanced WAF, but that always leads into Shape security discussion. So look out for that next week. I'll send the I will send the registration link out in the newsletter.
Excellent. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. So we got a bit of time to talk about some current events and a couple of things. Actually, one interesting thing that I'll bring up here, if you guys haven't seen this already, FireEye sold FireEye, which is interesting. So FireEye sold the FireEye product out of the company for $1.2 billion. And FireEye is essentially their Mandiant acquisition at this point. So kind of interesting move that they would just go ahead and spin that out of the company.
Yeah, I get the feeling this one caught a lot of, I mean, obviously nobody knew about it, but there's got to be some customers who are, quite reliant on FireEye that are saying, interesting. Yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what the response is from the customer base, and it's a very large customer base that has FireEye deployed right now.
Yeah. The Mandiant stuff must be just growing like crazy at this point. And I think with anybody, when they're looking at things that they should be investing in within their company, if one thing isn't really an effective use of your time or resources, then it's time to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Another thing here, this goes into how much do you trust your product? At F5, we have a program called F5 Dog Food. It was previously called, and I think it's called F5 on F5 now, which is essentially how it sounds, F5 running our own products in production, running current features and whatnot. Well, Jeff Bezos is going to take the first ever human space flight of Blue Origin, along with his brother and an auction winner who's bid up to $2.8 million at this point for a seat on that flight. So wow. This guy really trusts his product.
And is the $2.8 million, does it go to a charity, or is it actually going into Jeff Bezos' back pocket?
Probably just directly to him, and his brother will probably split it.
Yeah, they'll just go buy a resort somewhere once the bidding gets high enough.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. That's cool. I wonder what the insurance policy is once those guys hop on together to cover that.
I haven't been following them much. Have they had many successful launches even?
I don't know. I don't know. I would assume they would have if he's ready to go on hop on a flight. Like Richard Branson, I guess, hasn't gone on a Virgin Galactic flight yet. Elon Musk hasn't gone on any SpaceX flights at this point. So kind of bold move by Jeff Bezos there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
I always flagged Elon as one of the guys to be one of the first to go to Mars, but a couple comments he made recently were like the first few hundred people will eventually perish, probably.
Yes.
So maybe not.
Yeah. Well, he mentioned on that Saturday Night Live thing that he's been diagnosed, I guess, with Asperger's, and I think one of the traits with those folks is they can say things very bluntly, and that's one of his thoughts on it.
Yeah, he's got a reputation for that. He doesn't sugarcoat things.
Yeah. So we talked about just before the show, Jason is going through basically a whole house reno, and that's going to be expensive, but maybe what you can do here is
just so you know.
Yeah. $60,000 worth of lumber, which the price of it has doubled or tripled in the past year or so here.
Wow.
Yeah, might make its way to your house, Jason.
From BC, I hope.
Well, it was stolen in Calgary, but very good chance that the lumber is from BC.
There you go. Never knew. That's awesome.
That's quite a heist. That's like going back to the old mafia days of. It's not like you can kind of just sneak that lumber underneath your jacket.
No. So I used to work at a truck stop. My very first job was at a truck stop, and there was occasional theft that would happen, but it would be for like products like electronics or something. Like somebody, I don't know, you probably won't see like trailers that'll be marked like Sony or something on the side of it because they don't want people to go in and steal a bunch of TVs. But lumber is a little bit harder to hide, I guess. You don't really put them inside of a sea can. And then the truck drivers, they may park their truck at a truck stop, and then they might go sleep at a hotel if they don't have a bunk inside of their truck itself. And so they got to leave their trailer somewhere. And if it wasn't locked up, you could just probably pull up and hook up to the trailer and drive away with it.
Yeah, it's not like this lumber has serial numbers on it or anything like that. Once you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah, just sand it off.
Yeah,
doesn't have anything printed on it.
RFID chip implants. Here we go.
Yeah,
that could be possible. And another one here. Maybe we'll get Daryl's opinion on this, and I don't know if this is even being looked at in Toronto, but they're looking at there's an RFP out from the city of Vancouver to look at road toll options in the city for congestion avoidance, I guess.
Yeah, my opinion on that, it's a cash grab, and will it actually affect the amount of traffic into Vancouver? Maybe slightly, but in the meantime, it'll pour a bunch of money into City of Vancouver taxes without any. I'm sure they're not going to give a good, record of how this additional money is going to be spent. It'll just absorb the taxes and claim it's a good thing. Yeah.
And now I thought it would just be the peninsula, but this is actually a big chunk defined as Vancouver Metro Core.
Yeah, I guess it'll just be interesting where they start, where they stop, and all those sorts of things. I live literally on the edge of Vancouver and Burnaby, just on the Vancouver side. So depending on if I have to go anywhere, I'm typically traveling into the core. So
yeah, that's crazy. Toronto proposed the same thing. We have a freeway called the Gardner Expressway. You're pretty much only way in and out of downtown, and they wanted to put tolls on that as well, but that didn't get the favor of the populace, mostly because the transit option alternative is kind of like the same as your commuter rail you have out there. We call it the GO train, the Government of Ontario. It's okay. I mean, it runs every 15 minutes, but it's very fixed. You're either going in or you're going out. You can't go anywhere else. So.
Yeah, same for us. I think we probably have less infrastructure. Well, we definitely have less infrastructure than you guys do. So if you're on a specific route and it works for you, then great. But not everybody has. It can be a train / bus / something else just to get to where you want to go.
Well, even the Canada line, when it opened, right, they closed the bus routes the same day and opened the subway. So they just took all the people from the bus and put them in their 2-car subway. So
yeah,
never really made sense to me, but they claim they can add more trains more frequently to get more people, I suppose, in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. One more thing here. 7-Eleven is going to open 500 electric vehicle charging stations at 250 select stores. 500 stations across 250 stores across Canada and the US by end of 2022. Which I think is interesting.
Yeah, interesting that they have the room. Like if I think of most 7-Elevens now, they don't have a lot of parking. They're part of gas stations and there's not a lot of additional parking, but I guess there's, if that's 500 stations at two, it's only two slots. So should be able to be done.
Yeah. Depending on, where you're at in your level of charge, if you were to go in, if you were to charge up for say 5 or 10 minutes, and that's just a quick run into 7-Eleven, you might actually get a decent amount of charge in that amount of time. They're doing DC fast charging at these spots. But it kind of got me thinking, like it's kind of you're kind of rethinking the gas station idea a little bit in that not all 7-Elevens are at gas stations. They just might be a standalone 7-Eleven convenience store. And so you got EV charging at a lot of grocery stores will have it. A lot of malls will have it. Something like a 7-Eleven. So it's almost like a perk to try to get a certain demographic in for now. But once there's a lot more EVs out there, this is going to grab a whole lot more people. And actually, that kind of brings us over to this one here. Tesla files a trademark for restaurant concept as well. So kind of bringing people into some of these bigger Tesla supercharging stations and feeding them in kind of the reverse way. We're gonna charge your car, and then I think he was talking about like a
back to the drive-in, right?
Old school drive-in, roller skates and rock.
Awesome.
Yeah, so cool. Mixing those two concepts together. Once again, he's ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we'll finish on time here today because I know you're a busy guy, Jason. So thank you very much for coming on. Good luck with all your whole house renos, and we'll see if any of that lumber gets out to you though there in Toronto. Yeah.
Once again, as a reminder, it's going to be expensive. So.
Yeah.
Thanks. I know. Or actually, I don't know yet, but I'll know soon.
Yeah, I'm getting renos done myself right now, so I can say that with confidence. So.
Nice.
Good to see you, Jason.
All right.
Appreciate you jumping on, and hopefully we'll before too long have you out here in BC to meet up with some customers. That would be a very good thing.
Can't wait. Hoping September.
Nice.
Fingers crossed.
All right.
Cool.
Number 2 of the stab and jab of the vaccine, hopefully in August, if not before. So
fantastic. Good to hear.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. See you, Jason.
Cheers.
Bye.